Good evening. Welcome to the show. I'm Patrick, have Cheetah will view 8 questions with, and glad you guys are here with us. That means if you're here with us, that means you survived your 4th of July extravaganza. Yeah, yesterday was like being in Beirut or Fallujah or Baltimore or St. Louis. You name it. It sounded like it was happening outside my window yesterday. Um, horrible fireworks. And hey, Jaden, how are you? How are you? Hey, Katie. Fireworks were not good. Were not really good last night. Of course, what do I know about the cheetah? He was not worried about it at all. He was looking out his window, and the window was open. So he was just looking outside the window, and I was giving him treats, which he really enjoyed. He really enjoyed that part. And yeah, he wasn't really bothered by the fireworks at all. I don't know how that works out for him, but I want to say hello to whoever's in our chat. It's our good friend Lazy Cheetah is in our Facebook chat. Greetings, greetings. We're going to be talking with Lazy Cheetah. Uh, we'll be talking with him real soon. The interview that everybody wanted. Um, and I gotta be honest with you, this is gonna be a lot of fun talking to Lazy Cheetah. I have a feeling by the end of our conversation, he'll be changing his channel name to Faster Than Fast Cheetah, but we will see. Uh, Lazy Cheetah is a really fine artist, and he will be here with us later on during the month. Tonight, though, we are welcoming in new actor who's done a lot of things in only 6 months. He's been in Georgia for 6 months. I saw a little clip that he posted out on his Facebook page today, and the young man has accomplished quite a bit for such a short time. Um, really impressive. And that includes landing a role at the last minute with our good friend Chadrick Whitmire, who wrote and directed. First, they started off as a series of short films with Malcolm, and then Chadwick went ahead and made it a feature-length film. And we will be talking with Simon about his role in Malcolm. Malcolm will be coming out on Tubi in October, just in time for Spooktacular. So one of our own in our community, is going to have a movie on in Tubi. I think that's really cool. I do. I think that's really. I think I like it quite a bit. And just remember where you saw him first. All right, that's right. Because that is the fun part about doing this show. The fun part about is doing a show with a young talent that hasn't quite been discovered yet, but is going to. And you know what's going to happen. Hey, Anthony, how are you? Yeah, Anthony's got himself a movie credit. Well, I'll be dogged. Good for you, Anthony. Anthony's got a credit, and our old friend Steven from House of Horrors, he also got himself a credit. And from what I understand, he's got two more coming up. So looks like everybody's getting the acting fever. That's fun. That's a lot of fun. Let's see, is that Anthony? Let's see. I'm sure that's probably Anthony. It is. That's awesome. Good for you, Anthony. That's really fun. Well, speaking of that, I better do this while I'm still talking to you guys. I will be doing this. I have all of Simon's information down in the description box below, but of course, I'm going to go ahead and do this right here for Simon. And we want to do that for him. And Simon will be with us here in about 10 minutes or so. All right. Let's see if we can go ahead and do that. Ta-da! Anthony, what I can do for you is after the show tonight. After the show tonight, I will take your page and I'll put it down on your interview. So I'll put that down in your interview. I'll add that to it. So I can do that. Uh, so Simon, like I said, he's been here for 6 months in Georgia. He's done a lot of work in such a short time, and he'll be here, and we'll be talking about his journey. And like I said, I mean, this is the best part about doing this job for me anyway, is catching artists like Simon on the way up and interviewing them, and then see what happens. See if they get, see if someone breaks them or pops them, or it's going to be very exciting to see. Hey, Frosty, how are you? All right. Frosty's going full on booktuber. That's cool. You know what? I have yet to see anybody. I mean, me and Katie, we do. Yeah. And I'm going to the library tomorrow, Katie. I understand our library was closed because of the 4th of July, but it should be open tomorrow. So I'm going back down and I'm going to reserve a copy of Catching Fire. I'm not going to just go and see if it's there. I'm going to reserve a copy, which I should have done last time. And I don't know why I didn't. But seeing Frosty, I don't know very many booktubers. I don't know, so I guess I need to go over there and hang out with Frosty and see what he's got cooking. Um, we have interviewed a few novelists here on Eight Questions with Michael Cassie's written a book. Jennifer Sullivan, um, Chris Farnsworth has written a book. Jordan Keller. So we have talked to a few writers here on the show, and I definitely want to do more. I definitely want to do more. I'm very much interested in talking to novelists and the writers and see how they work. Of course, now we've talked to a ton of screenwriters, but as far as novelists, not too many. Uh, so Frosty has always been known as a booktuber for 4.5 years ago. And how many is there a big booktuber community, Frosty? Is there a big one out there? 'Cause if there is, I would like to know some of the people, because I would definitely like to talk to some of you guys for sure. I just don't. You. Oh, there is. Okay, there is a book community. Okay, well, definitely want to. Definitely have to come over and see who you can poke. Basically, tell me who is a booktuber, because I would like to talk to some, because I read a lot. I've been reading a lot lately. I just finished two John Sanford books, and I'm almost done with a Patrick Lee book. Patrick Lee is, man, I've been looking for him. He's actually a Michigan-based writer, and I've been looking for him. And his social media has gone dry the last year or so. So I have not been able to track him down, which I hope that he will pop up soon, because I would love to talk to him about his writing, because he's a terrific writer. Um, Hey, Stephen, have a great show tonight. Have fun on your guest. You're going to be a guest on Will Colosso's new podcast. Our own Stephen right here from House of Horrors. He is on his way to be a guest. Have a great show, and yeah. Speaking of that, I will be doing a double header tonight. I found out I will be doing this show tonight with Simon, and then at 10:05, I'll be jumping in with our good friend Echo from House of Horrors, and I think he wants to do a shout out, Echo side. So I said, yeah, that sounds like fun to me. So I'm not sure who we're pushing, or who we're celebrating, and who we're shouting out. He'll tell me that when I get over there. But me and the Cheetah we will be heading on over there after this show is over with. Tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, we will be welcoming screenwriter, producer, and actress Melanie Gretchen will be here with us tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. She is a terrific talent in her own right. She has worked with director Pat Bradley on some award-winning works, and we will be talking with her tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Um, Not only is Simon has acted in Chadwick's movie Malcolm, but another former guest also, and that was Alex Javo. And I do believe, from what I understand, I think that we're going to be talking with Alex and Chadwick either late August or early September before Malcolm gets released. So, and speaking of that, our guest has arrived. So, thank you for coming in. Hopefully, you guys will stay, share us out, and welcome in our guest. I hope I'm saying his name right because I've probably been killing it all along. But please welcome Simon Shih. Let me go get him. Greetings, sir.
Hey, Patrick.
Okay, so the very first question is, how are we saying your last name?
You said it absolutely perfectly.
Wow. So
Yeah.
I got one right for a
Yeah,
change?
perfect. Most people don't get it right, which is crazy that you got it first try.
I'm telling you, you know what? I was overdue though. I was overdue because I had massacred my fair share of names. So yes, I think it's high time that I got one right. Um, Very exciting to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too, finally.
Yeah, you have, I saw your post today on Facebook, and you posted down all that you've accomplished in 6 months. That's a lot. A lot of people, that's almost like a year and a half worth of work,
Yeah,
and
I've
you've
been
done
I've
in
been
6 months.
really lucky. I think part of it is everybody keeps telling me I have a look, which has never been told to me before. I got to Atlanta, and so I'm getting cast a lot because of that. And I think also networking has really helped out a lot because a lot of the projects I've done have been done without any kind of audition. I just meet people and we get along, and they like my attitude and my personality, and then next thing you know, I'm in a movie.
Actually, Eccles, he just took my thunder away because I was just going to say that too. I'm not sure if you know who this actor is, but he's everywhere. He mentioned Al Leong. You have the look. He had the same look he does. That guy was in absolutely everything.
Really?
You name it, he was in it. Yeah, it's fantastic, fantastic actor. Uh, I mean, if you go look up his credits, it's insane to see. Like, you just can't believe how many movies, high powered movies that he was in, like the original Die Hard, for one.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yes, I hope to have at least a decent career like he did. I mean, he was in everything in the 80s and 90s.
One of the funniest moments of the whole movie when they were getting ready to take on Bruce Willis, and he's standing there and he grabs all the candy. He's just like, it's just a great moment, and it's like you just can't forget that one because that was funny as hell. It's
Yeah.
like, all right, yeah, all right, that's what I'm gonna do that before I get into a big shootout. I'm gonna go ahead and get some snacks right here. Just like,
Right.
um,
He didn't even have a line in that one scene, and it was memorable, which is awesome.
I have to go back. I have to remember the line. I do remember the scene really well, and he did some other great work. He was in he was in a couple of the Andy Sedaris movies. That's when I saw him there, I was like, that's so cool because that's they made the movie that he made every movie that he was in better. If you go back and you watch him, and you're like, wow, he really, because you always remembered him.
Yep.
He always captivated you. Um, but that's a good thing, and that's like you said, that's the kind of career that you want to have. Yeah, that's why not, right?
Right.
Uh, so I now are you? Because I saw the samurai. I saw the samurai, but I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to judge, and I'm not going to go ahead and jump on this. I saw you in the samurai outfit, but are you Japanese or Korean or Chinese?
I'm Chinese, actually. My mom's from Taiwan and my dad was from China, mainland. I was born in San Antonio, so I'm Texan by birth. And
Okay,
yes, but I speak a little bit of Mandarin.
nice.
And I've been getting auditions because of that. And I realized how bad my Mandarin actually is after getting auditions in Mandarin because I'm actually relearning it right now as we speak. I'm doing like lessons to get my Mandarin back up to like par.
That's a good thing to do. Yeah, I just didn't see. I mean, do you instantly do you find yourself even now? Do you find yourself getting stereotyped a little bit?
I've actually been really lucky. That was one of my biggest fears, actually, coming to Atlanta and trying this acting thing, was to be stereotyped and to get my biggest worry was like always getting to play the Chinese waiter in a movie or something like that. But luckily, every single role I've had has been completely different. Even I played four dads, one in a feature and three in short films, and every single one of those characters was completely different. Like I played the asshole, cheating husband dad, and I played like the super kind best friend dad. So every single one has been really. So I've been really lucky with like the versatility of roles, which has been nice.
Yeah, that's a good. That's one thing I have to say about. I know a lot of the how do I say it politely and well, I guess I can't. But how many you hear about a lot of the right side of the fence, they're calling it woke. Um, just because people such as yourself want representation, nobody wants to see me on the screen playing a Chinese man. Nobody, right? And as far as I'm concerned, I just can't. It just boggles my mind that people have a hard time accepting that woke is there's no such thing as woke. All people are asking for is a chance to be represented by the people who represent them. If they're Chinese, let them play Chinese. If they're Japanese, let them play Japanese. If they're Irish, let them play Irish. Now, I know some people feel like, well, an actor can play it, a black actor can play an Irishman, an Irishman can play a black. You know, just because you can doesn't necessarily mean you should, especially now with the wealth of talent that is in Hollywood.
That's right.
Before it was like, okay, we have to do that because we can't find anybody to fit the role.
Right.
That is no longer the case today, is it?
No, it's absolutely right. Right. I think one of the things that, like, I listen to a lot of interviews about like people of color who grew up watching like TV shows and movies and stuff, and getting to see that person that represented that person. Like, you get to see somebody that looks like you on screen, and it's like now you have that dream that, okay, well, maybe I can actually do that for a living because somebody else has already paved the way to do that. So it's been like if I never saw like the guy Pat Morita play in Karate Kid, or Jackie Chan in those movies like that. If you never see those people, why would you think? Why would I think that I would ever be able to do this as a living? Because you never see my kind on screen.
Right. I mean, I think it's I mean I remember having this discussion once with another journalist, and we were talking about a movie called The Gods of Egypt, and there was a big hurrah. I mean, there was never hurrah before, and there hasn't been one since then like this one. This movie, for some reason, it was polarizing beyond above and beyond, and they were talking about how watching, it was about the Egyptian gods, and yet here we are, Gerard Butler, and we had Nicholas Costas-Wadu, and Jeffrey Rush, and it was like, well, the reason why they had to use those people is because the movie opens up. You have to open up with a name. I mean, you have to. If you don't have a big name opening your movie, you could lose a lot of money. It's not like you don't want to cast appropriately,
Right.
but if you do, can the person open a film?
Right.
And I think even in the short time between when Gods of Egypt came out, which I think came out in like 2012, 2013, and now the gap has been closed so much. Now they're opening up movies with people we really don't even know, and they're doing decently well.
Right.
It's like a whole fresh generation of actors are coming to the forefront,
Right.
and there's a lot more diversity.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I,
You
I
see. Sorry. Go ahead. So you see like a lot of like you see a lot of like minorities now in lead roles, which you never saw for a really long time, which gives me a lot of hope that I could potentially be a lead role in a big movie one day, which would be like my ultimate goal. If I could be like, honestly, if I could be in a Marvel movie in like a really large supporting or lead role, that would be my ultimate dream. I would basically say, okay, this is it. I could die happy after that.
Sure. And there's no reason why anybody can't get it these days. I mean, it does seem to be more opportunity or opening up. I mean, and that before it's like you go from hoping to now you're being asked. Like
Right.
you mentioned earlier how people are looking you up and having you come out, instead of you submitting your self tape and whatnot. People are calling you and saying, "Hey, can you come in and either read for a role, or we want to see you and we want to see you for an in-person audition."
Right.
um and all in 6 months. So I guess what we need to do is go back to the beginning and find out what started your journey.
Um,
So, yeah.
uh, well, the thing that actually started my journey was getting fired from my job of 20 years. I was in oil and gas for 20 years. And at the end of last year, the day before my 52nd birthday, I got let go. And I was panicking. Like I was really panicking when I first got fired. I was like, I'm 52. I should be close to retirement. And instead of like, finishing up, saving for my nest egg, I am no longer employed. And I didn't know what to do. Like I hated my job for 10 out of those 20 years. I just never really cared for it, but I made good money and it got comfortable. And I was good at it. So I figured, this is going to be what I do until I retire. Buy a piece of land somewhere, build a house, and then, call it a day. Once that happened, I after the day or two of panic, I sat down and actually said, what am I qualified to do outside of oil and gas? I dabbled in a bunch of stuff, so I was qualified to do a few things. And then when I was a kid, I always wanted to try and act. I never had done it before, never taken a class, and I was like, you know what? I have a little bit of money saved up. I'm in a good position right now, and I knew that Atlanta was like a really big hub for acting now. I just happened to be here that year to get my Nigerian visa. And I just ran into a bartender at a bar one night. I was having dinner at the bar and he was telling me about how big the film industry here was. And I never knew that. And so signed up for a couple of acting classes, rented an Airbnb for 3 months and said, I'm going to give it a try and see if I even like it. And if I don't like it, I'm just going to move on. And if I do like it, I'm going to stick around for a little while. And so I moved here on January 6th and took my first acting class on the 12th. And it was a theater class. And by the third class, I was just totally in love with it. It was just the feeling of doing a scene. I did a scene with my instructor, Stephen Ruffin, who's an amazing actor. He and my scene partner had gotten into an accident, didn't make it to class. And so he was my scene partner and he just took the scene to a new level. And instead of like sitting there trying to remember lines, I was just like throwing stuff back to what he was throwing to me. And it was just like, by the end of it, I was shaking and I was exhilarated and I was angry because it was an angry scene, but I was also extremely happy. And I was like, this is what I want to do. So that's how it started. And I started networking like crazy. And I think that's probably why I've done so much in the little bit of time that it's been, is the networking. And I think networking is like I don't know if people realize how much networking can get you ahead and just in life in general, not just business.
Yeah.
But I've always been really good at networking and marketing myself. And I think it's really helped.
I think so too. I think so too. And I guess that, I guess when one door opens, another one, one door closes, one opens up. It's unfortunate how it happened, but then again, it did happen. And, you went ahead and you said, hey, why not? Why not take a shot at it?
Yeah.
And good for you for doing it.
Thanks. Thank you.
So there you are in Georgia. You're starting to take classes, which is, that was probably a extremely, perceptive thing to do. I never had done it before. So
Right.
what was it like for you on your first day in class? I mean, what was, were you just totally nervous? Were there other brand new people with you?
So it was a beginner's theater class. I actually signed up for two separate classes. One was a film baseline class at Catapult Studios, and that was done by Patrick Hogan, who's also an amazing actor. And the first class I did, the first part of class was just exercises and kind of like loosening yourself up and stuff. And I went in with the mentality that, no matter what they ask me to do, I'm just going to do it, and I'm going to have fun with it. I'm going to try to like accept whatever. Because it's kind of silly at first, and it's kind of like potentially embarrassing. But I've also, I mean, I'm 52 now, so I can't remember the last time I've been embarrassed or shy about anything. So I don't, that part of it, I've been lucky with not having to deal with that part of, especially with auditions and like meeting people and stuff. So we did the first class, we did the exercises, and then we started doing, we do some games. And it's the same thing in most acting classes. You do like these little games that you kind of like become present with the person around, with the people around you. And then we started doing scene work, and that's my favorite part. Scene work is actually my favorite part. I love like being able to break down a character, you know, give them a backstory, and then go into the scene and like just kind of act the scene out. I mean, that's what I when I'm not acting. Like when I've been lucky in the last month and a half, 2 months, I've been pretty much working on some project every weekend. And when I'm not working on a project, I feel antsy and I feel like I need to be working on a project.
I think every actor has that, right?
Probably.
Everybody has that drive to move forward. So I mean, you must feel just absolutely just, you know, like I'm just trying to imagine how it must be feel right now, just be doing this after such a long career and another career, and in the excitement it must generate. Well, and the thing is, though, you have no bad habits. You have great teachers. I mean, you know, everything is, you know, it's going really well for you. How long was it for you from when you got there and you started taking classes to when you know, what was your first audition and what did you audition for?
So I'm trying to remember what my first audition was. The first role I got was actually for a movie that Chadrick Whitmire co-wrote called Deadline, and that one I did an audition for. The director of that, Derek Bailey, he actually found me on Facebook, and I think the only reason he hired me was because I looked like somebody who could be the dad of the lead character. Because I play the lead character is Asian, and her father is a fireman, and I had the build. I guess he told me I had the build for it, so he basically hired me after a quick table read with a bunch of people for the table read of the script. And that was my first role. But I think my first audition was, I was auditioning, I think I started auditioning fairly quickly. I think February maybe, or early March. And it was probably about 12 or 13 auditions into auditioning before I got my first role.
And how did you like the audition? When you were in class, did they walk you, did new students, did they walk you through what audition process would be like? And what
the film class in at Catapult did that. That was the whole point of that class, and it was really valuable for that. It gave you how to do a slate, how to what your eyeline's supposed to be when you're on camera, and how to act and stuff like that. The audition process, the first time I did an audition, I watched it and I was like and I brought this up to both my teachers because I was nitpicking like all the things that were wrong with my face. Like I was like, this side of my face is bigger than that side of my face, and this is wrong and that's wrong. And I have friends who are like who help me with the audition because you need a reader normally. And so while we're watching the audition, I'm just nitpicking, and they're like, just stop. You don't look like, nobody thinks you look like that but you. And it wasn't until I talked to my theater teacher, he had me watch this monologue that Willem Dafoe did. And it's about his teeth and how there's gaps between his teeth. And I never noticed that about Willem Dafoe. But when he started talking about it, I noticed it, and I was like, oh, okay, well, he's imperfect too. But he's a great actor, and I've never even noticed anything about that before. I just focused on the acting. And so now when I watch audition tapes of myself, I just basically focus on the acting and what I can do to improve the acting and not worry about what I look like.
Yeah, William Dafoe is a perfect example of an actor's actor. You're right. I mean, you really don't. When you think of William Dafoe, the last thing you think of right away is William Dafoe as a leading man. You know, he's always been but you always see him as a character actor because he doesn't have that leading man look. You know, he's more of a guy who's down in the trenches. And you know what though? He's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. You know,
Absolutely.
not everybody's going to have, you know, the leading man look, and you know, and they don't have his skill either. I mean, William Dafoe can play any role, and not everybody who leads can do that or is willing to do that. Chadwick is actually in the house. Hi, Chadwick. How are you? And hello to Explorer of Horror. Welcome, and glad you are here as well. And I'm sure we'll probably get Alex in here sometime or later. And I got to give a shout out again to our good friend Lazy Cheetah, who is watching us on Facebook. Um, okay, so yeah, I mean, I think that insecure. I think every actor has that insecurity, like the which side of the camera picks, is my best side, or
Right.
they don't like watching themselves on like, do you like watching yourself perform? No, they don't. A lot of people do not like that.
Well,
I can understand that, because I watch what I do here, and I absolutely hate my voice.
well, the funny thing is like the insecurity. Like I'm a fairly secure person in my like normal life. Like I've always been fairly confident. But with acting, because I'm so new at it still, I'm really insecure about the acting. Like people tell me it's good or it's fine or whatever, um, but I still am constantly trying to like get validation for it just because I'm so new at it. And I want to make sure that what I'm doing, the performance I'm doing, is good for the person that's making the film, the director or the producer or the writer or whatever, because ultimately that's their passion. Like most of the projects I've done are passion projects, and I want to make sure that I'm performing the way that they see the character, or in the way that portrays a character to what they think is best. And so I'm constantly asking, hey, was that okay? Was that okay? Was that okay?
Right, right. And now, have you done a movie yet where you've actually, or have you done a scene yet where you walked away from it without doing that?
No, but I have done a couple auditions where I've walked away and I was like, okay, that was actually really good. I was really happy with that audition. I probably have done about 75 auditions so far, and of those 75, I think I walked away from two of those where I was like, okay, that I think I nailed that audition.
Okay, okay, that's not bad. What have you learned about not getting a part? I mean, what do you do to, how do you handle that? If you don't get the part, do you take steps to protect yourself?
Oh yeah,
Uh,
for
what,
sure.
what,
Yeah, I as soon as I do the audition, I'm done. I'm just like that's it. I I wouldn't say I forget about it because it's impossible to forget about, but I just move on to the next project. The next keep looking. I'd start looking for the next thing to apply for to try to get an audition. I'm writing. I'm thinking about monologues. Like I'm researching constantly. I'm doing something towards acting every single day of my life. Even if it's like a small little bit, I try to do something every day towards acting because even a small step is a step towards my goal. So yeah, I try to forget about it. I just do it. I've had some fairly big auditions that I really, really, really wanted and never got, and that was towards the very beginning when I first started doing it.
sure.
And so at first I had trouble letting it go, but then I started talking to more seasoned actors and more experienced actors, and they said you just have to do the audition and then try to forget about it and just move on to the next project.
I mean, if you think about it, like if you really think about it, you take that audition and you perform right then and there. This is I'm already doing the role for you, right here. And the thing about it is, honestly, you have to give yourself a break too, Simon, in the fact that you're new, and to be able to walk in there after 18 auditions and nail a big role. It could happen, but it's just, to me, it's like the experience. It's a win situation. It's a win-win situation. It's one, you got the audition at all, and two, you got the audition, for a big role. I mean, there's a lot of people don't get that.
Yeah, that's
They
true.
don't get, they
I've
don't get
actually
past the audition.
I've actually been lucky in a couple of times where I've actually I was at a party one night and I actually met the casting director of a short film that I had applied for and auditioned for, and found out that I was actually one of two people being considered for the final people being considered for the role. And so just knowing that, it wasn't because she told me that the reason why they had chosen the other actor was because she'd always thought in her head that that character would be female, and she said that I almost changed her mind. And to know that I was that close, and to know that it wasn't because of my acting, it was because I just didn't fit her vision of what that character was supposed to look like physically. And I've
Sure.
also had a friend of mine who was who's a really good actor. His name is Toto Suarez, and he actually had gotten a role as the best friend because the lead role, they had already made the superhero suit and it wouldn't fit him because he was just too tall for it. And that was the only reason why he didn't get that role. And it's a lot of times that's the reason. It's not because the person's acting isn't up to par or whatever. It just, you just don't fit the physical appearance or the size or something small like that.
Yeah, that does come into play. I guess it'd be a little bit frustrating though. It would be a little frustrating knowing that, you going in, you're auditioning for a role, and then you get told that, I've always seen this person as a female, and you sort of say at the same time, you're flattered at the same time. At the same time, you're going like, well, why did you waste my time? I mean, if you saw your vision as that happened, it's like, I'm grateful, but you know what? I'm grateful in the fact that I got another audition underneath my belt. But at the same time, it's like, I'd much rather have you been honest with me and tell me that, this role's for a woman and I want to see a woman play it. Especially a casting director. If it had been the writer of the movie, but go ahead.
Yeah, so that's a way to look at it. But the way that I look at it is that any bit of experience I can get, whether it's auditioning or whatever, it helps me, right? It helps me be better at what I'm trying to do. And so like I'm on the Facebook groups a lot, and I don't know if you notice it or not, but I write a lot of stuff about my experiences to try to help other actors who aren't getting the experience that I'm getting.
Sure.
And one of the things that I've noticed is that there's a lot of actors who aren't getting a lot of auditions. So for me to be able to get these auditions, I'm very thankful for that. I'm very, very blessed to get those. So I'm happy to, even if I don't get the role, I'm just happy to be able to audition and get people are seeing me. So I mean, even if I don't get the role, at least the casting person is seeing me and like, oh, well, maybe he's not right for this. Maybe he's right for something down the line.
Yeah, that's what you can always hope for definitely. And a lot of casting directors, they do have that book, like, okay, so maybe Simon is not the right role for this one, but I'm going to put his picture and his profile in my book, and then like if something goes down the line, I'll have something. I've heard a lot of actors get jobs that way. Like maybe you weren't right for this one, but down the road there could be something else, and I'll be calling you for that role. So yeah, do you find yourself in? Let's talk a little bit about Facebook groups, because I do find that to be a little bit fascinating. What's your impression about Facebook groups?
Well, the ones I focus on are the ones that are acting. Like, so I follow every single Facebook group that has anything to do with the filmmaking scene in Atlanta, because casting calls come up all the time, and I want to make sure that I see them. Because I'm not only on Actors Access and Backstage and casting networks, but I'm also trying to find stuff outside of that. And so I think they're good for that. I think there's a lot of people. And I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I'm. This is one of the reasons why I was hesitant about doing this, is because I tend to have like a mouth that just that spits out whatever's in my head, and I sometimes say the wrong thing. But I think there's a lot of actors out there who think that if they just post their photo in one of these groups, that someone's going to find them and like hire them on the spot. And it doesn't really work that way. And even if it might happen on like, in a blue moon on like a very like a small percentage, a very, very small, like less than 1%. But it takes work. It takes work to go and find the auditions, to try to apply for them, to try to get the audition. And it isn't just about posting a picture. I find that the Facebook groups are really valuable for networking. I've met a ton of people who message me through direct message because I post a lot about my experiences, and they want advice. And I'm happy to talk to anybody. I've had Zoom calls with people all over the country who read some of my my postings and said, "Hey, can you give me some advice on whatever?" And I mean, I can only give you people advice based off my experiences, and I mean, things that work for me don't always work for everybody else. And I don't think that what I write is like the rule, but I try to help other people as much as I can. And networking, it's been valuable for networking for sure.
Yeah, networking is critical. doing press is critical. Doing stuff like what you're doing here with me tonight is critical, because it's about expanding your footprint, expanding your name. Even though it sounds like a damn cliche, but in a sense, it's like expanding your brand per se.
Right.
The more people that hear about you, know about you, see you, the better it is.
Right.
And yeah, Facebook groups are interesting to me. I don't, I'm in a lot of them. A lot of times I don't send a lot inside of them because I don't, I'm not an actor. I had somebody send me a letter the other day on Instagram asking me for a job, and I was like, I'm not a filmmaker. I'm not an actor or director. I'm not in an industry. I review films. I interview people and I review. I'm not in the business. Um, but it was still funny because I was like, like how the hell did you get a hold of me to ask? Uh, but I like going inside the Facebook groups, and you're right. There's a lot of people that just it's almost like they expect it to come overnight to them.
Yeah.
It
So
isn't like
that's the one thing when you mentioned that whole person talking to you on the DM about wanting a job, I've gotten that too myself. And one of the things that I try to talk to other actors about is with the whole thing of networking is that I think that most people misunderstand how to network. So one of the things I started doing when I first got here was going to Film Bar Mondays, which I don't know if you know what that is or not, but it's a event they have every Monday night at different bars throughout the month for people in the film industry to network. And I see a lot of people when they try to network that they just go up to random people and they start talking to them and they're like, hey, I'm an actor. Hey, you're a director. Hey, do you have something that you can put me in the future? And that to me is not the way to network at all, because anybody and everybody will do that to any. Networking to me is to talk to somebody and be interested in what they're actually doing and try to connect them to them on like a more of a personal level where it's almost like trying to start a new friendship. And it takes time and it takes effort. And it's not about I've never, not once, asked anybody, hey, do you have an acting job for me? And I've gotten acting jobs just through networking, but I've never said those words. It's about there's this one guy who's a filmmaker who goes to Film Bar. His name is Chicken Green. And we've met probably 4 or 5 times. And every single time we see each other, we talk. And he's a great guy. It wasn't until the 5th time that I saw him that he actually said, hey, you know what, Simon, I think I might have something for you in the future. But it takes time. It's not just, hey, I'm an actor, put me in something. It doesn't work that way.
No, they all and I love the fact when people come inside those groups and they expect people to have the answer. Like or they don't understand how much work it goes into it. I want to become an actor. How do I do that? How do I get roles? I'm just you sit there and you read that and you're like, okay, is this guy actually trolling the group or is he really serious?
I see it all the time.
They're serious. They're serious.
They're serious.
Yeah. But they don't understand. It's like there's a lot of work involved. Were you surprised at how hard it was to start networking, to actually connect with people? Were you surprised at how hard it was?
I've actually been one of the things I learned from my 20 years in oil and gas, because I was a contractor and I had to network and I had people had to like me in order for me to get put on their projects. Otherwise, I wasn't going to get any work. Because there'll be times where somebody will ask for me specifically to come on their project, because the guy that I actually worked for had a few guys working under him. So I've been really good at networking and marketing for a long, long time. And like I said, it's not just in acting; it's in every aspect of your life. I mean, it's part of it. I consider myself an introvert. I could sit in my house with Instacart and with Amazon and with Uber Eats. I could literally not leave my house for a month and be perfectly fine and never talk to anybody. Right. But networking is being an introvert. You have to force yourself to learn how to be personal and how to interact with people and how to network. But no, I didn't find it that hard, to be honest with you. I actually the movie, I don't know if you saw Samurai, which is the last movie we just shot this last weekend. We just shot a couple scenes of it. Arkin Wheeler, who's the writer of that, who's an amazing writer, and he's directing the movie. He and I met at our first Film Bar, and we've had a relationship since for 6 months now. And this is actually the 3rd project we've talked about doing together, which is the first project that actually is coming to fruition. But we actually have a series that's actually in the process of getting financed. They're looking for financing through a company called Buffalo 8, which is a production company out of Santa Monica, and that is something like. And then we had another one which is like a Adult Swim kind of like everybody's all the characters are puppets except for the main character, which would be me, and I would play a homeless druggie who's also an alcoholic who thinks he's a rock star but a homeless guy, and all I do is interact with puppets the whole series. And so like networking has gotten me a lot of work, which is crazy. But no, it's not hard because I'm generally interested in the person. I'm generally interested in what they're doing, what they have done, what they plan on doing. I'm interested in making. I was here to try to make friends too. I mean,
Sure.
I'm in Atlanta for the first time ever, and I knew nobody. So I mean, making friends was part of it, right? So.
How did you meet Chadrick and get involved with Malcolm?
So I think it was a late Friday or Saturday night, and I got an instant message from Alex. And Alex and I had been friends on Facebook for maybe a month or two, but we had never actually communicated or knew of each other. But we had some friends in common because of Deadline. And he messaged me, and I guess the actor who was supposed to play Swade had backed out or had some family emergency or something. I'm not sure what happened exactly. And so Alex was like, "Hey, are you busy Monday night? Do you want to play this role of Swade in Malcolm?" And I'd heard of Malcolm because I've seen it all over Facebook. And Chadrick and I had talked before because we were involved in Deadline together, but I'd never met him before. And so, I mean, I knew both of them, and I've heard good things about both of them. And I wasn't busy Monday night, so I was like, "Yeah, sure, I would love to play the part."
And so you went down there, and what would you think of the material? Were you challenged by it? I mean, a story about a serial killer. Was this something you expected? Had you ever done anything quite like that before?
Well, so the Deadline is a horror film, so like that has some aspects of like thriller and stuff like that in it. But what I liked about it was Alex and Chadrick are like really amazingly supportive. I'm always nervous when I go onto it's not nervous in the sense that I'm nervous in the sense that okay, I'm going onto a set that's already been going on for a while, and I'm brand new to this. And these guys, like Alex is he's a seasoned actor, and he's a really good actor. I've heard even before I met him, I knew he was a good actor from all of the things I've heard about him. And Chadrick, I knew was a good writer. And so to come on and to towards the end of filming and to be basically substituting for somebody else, I was a little bit I was worried about not being able to perform to their expectations. That was my biggest worry. But man, they are so supportive. They were really happy with my performance, and like every single I even made some suggestions on how to play that character a little different, and Alex was like, "Yeah, I love it. Let's do it." And so it was good. It was a really good experience, and I have no doubt that I'll be working with both Chadrick and Alex again in the future.
Yeah, I mean, collaboration is very. It's like you network, then you collaborate.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, as far as the coming in last minute, because that has that happened to any of your other projects so far? Have you lost members of the cast like that before?
No, that's the very first time that's happened, and yeah, I was actually surprised. It came out of the blue. I was just like, when Alex messaged me and asked me, I was like, I jumped on it. I was like, yeah, absolutely. Asked him what he wanted me to wear for the character and what part I was playing, and I was playing the owner of a rock bar, and he said I had the look, and he heard good things, so wanted to do it. But no, that was the first time that's ever happened. Every single other project has always been same people from the beginning and to the end. So yeah, I've never dealt with that before.
Yeah, that's actually one of the pitfalls of independent filmmaking is that that does happen more than not for independents. You'll find that out as you get more projects. It does happen. I'm sure Chadwick is over there nodding his head, going, "Yeah, you're right." But did you feel any pressure? I mean, was it more excitement, or did you feel any pressure? Do you put pressure on yourself, like, here I am walking into a role I really don't have much? I mean, how many days did you have time to familiar yourself with the character until set time?
Well, I had the script right away. He sent me the script right away, or the sides right away, and immediately started going through it, and kind of trying to understand the character or how I wanted to play it. When I got on set, man, they were friendly, they were supportive, they were like there was no pressure from them. The only pressure I ever really feel on a set is the pressure I give myself because I want to be good, or I want to be as good as I possibly can. And so, but no, it was a really great experience. Like it was fun. They were really professional. A lot of the projects I've been on, people are always apologizing, and it's mostly student films and independent films and passion projects. So it's a lot of people are always apologizing. Well, this is running long, or this is taking too long, or whatever, and we're sorry that you have to wait. And it's like that's part of the job. Like you sit all day on set sometimes, and you get like 10 minutes in front of the camera, but that's part of the job. And there's no, I mean, you have to go in knowing that, and that's part of it.
Yeah, that's very cool though. They apologize. That's refreshing to hear.
Well, they knew I had a class that night, so they knew I had to be out at a certain time, and I ended up emailing my teacher and saying, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to be late because this is."
I'm on. It's sort of weird. It's sort of cool though, be able to sit there and tell your teacher, like, "I'm sorry to be a little late. I'm on set." Like,
yeah, it's
I don't think your teaching your acting teacher is going to be like busting your chops over that. I'm sure.
No, he was fine with it. Yeah, absolutely fine.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you're supposed to be doing, right? You're supposed to be on set. The more on set, the better it is.
Yeah, sure.
Now, what's been your hardest role of the roles that you played so far? Who's been the most? What character has been the most challenging, and what have you done to make the character yours?
I think the most challenging was this last weekend. I play a homeless vet in a wheelchair, and I think the reason why it was most challenging was because he was an ex-military, so I wanted to portray more of a military type person. I have a fairly high voice for an older male, and so I kind of was trying something new, and it was I wanted to make it believable too. I didn't want to just do a voice and then not make it believable, so I did something a little bit deeper, and it seemed to work out. Everybody seemed happy with it, but I also have like I die in the scene, like I get beat up, and it was one of the most fun part of the projects, which I find because you get makeup put on and you look like you just got the crap beat out of you. And they even had the mouth blood where I cough up blood towards the end of that scene. That was a little bit challenging too because it was the first time I'd ever dealt with like fake blood in my mouth.
How long did you have to hold it there for 60 seconds?
So the first time we did it, I overdid it, and I took a way too big a shot of the blood. And then they started discussing the scene while I'm sitting there with this mouthful of blood, and I'm just there waiting for them to finish talking so we can actually do the scene. And then you have to do it right. And because I'd taken so much of it, when I coughed it up, it just came out as a big glob because I'm laying on my back. And so it's all down my face and my neck, and I'm dying. I'm supposed to be dying. So it was challenging in that aspect, the timing of it, and just making it look believable. Emotionally, I think the most challenging one I had was Bounty in Chinatown. Actually, the one scene where I'm supposed to, the very first part in the monologue where I'm supposed to tear up, and I had talked to my theater teacher about this because I was like, I'm just going to think about something that was really bad in my life and try to get to that spot. And he's like, just be careful doing that because it could potentially mess up your mind for a little while. And I was like, yeah, this is no big deal. I'm pretty mentally stable. I'm fine. This should be no big deal. But I thought about something that, like a really down part of my life, probably the worst part of my life, and got to the place where I could actually do the scene right. And the next day I was just sort of like in this funk all day. And I was like, what is going on with you? Because I'm never in a bad mood. I'm always happy. And I was like, oh man, it was from yesterday's monologue. And it just really screwed me up that day. Just like I was just in a funk. And I never
tell you to be careful of that because you don't want to become desensitized to it.
Yeah, I never knew that would actually happen until it happened, and I was like, okay, I definitely need to be more careful with
that. Now, do you find yourself reading a lot of books about the craft? Have you read any like Meisner or what have you? Have you read any of those books?
So I've taken a Meisner class, and I think I have a Meisner book. I have like 5 or 6 books, and I've read parts of like some of them. But I've noticed that the older I get, the harder it is for me to sit down and read, just because of like some physical issues I'm having with like my left ear. I have this nonstop humming in my left ear. like constantly, and I always have to have some kind of background noise in order to drown it out. And so it's hard to read for me without background noise because I
Oh,
can't. It's hard to read without. It's hard to read for me with having background noise, but then I hear the humming, so then I kind of just. But I try to read as much as I can. I try to, but I read a ton of articles online because they're shorter, and so it's easier for me to focus for that short period of time.
now you think that? Do you think you have tinnitus from your job?
I'm not sure what it is, to be honest with you. I punctured the left eardrum years ago, but I never noticed it until a couple years ago that it was this constant humming going on.
Oh man, that would probably be I guess that would be rather I guess you just focus it out and channel it out when you're acting.
Yeah, if I think about it too much, it starts driving me crazy. So I try not to think about it.
So let's not talking about your ear. Yeah. Uh, uh, so let me ask a fun question, and because I'm not sure if he's still here or not, but we're gonna put him on the spot. But so how is the craft table for Malcolm?
It was good actually. I was the only. I mean, I was only there for that one day. But they had water and snacks and stuff, and then we right before the end of my scene, I think it was actually right before my scene shot. He ordered pizza from a place right down the street, and it was really good. So yeah, the craft on most of the projects I've been have been really good. I've been really lucky.
That's an important thing too, as a young actor, as you get into more projects. I always tell you can always tell by the dedication of the project how serious it is by the quality of the craft table.
Yeah. And the only problem with the craft is the only time I actually eat badly is when I'm on set with anything because I don't. At my house, I try to eat as clean as possible and I try to stay in shape, which is getting older which is getting harder as I get older. So I don't keep a lot of snacks at my house. And so when I'm on set, I'm just like constantly stuffing my face with like chips and like, just junk food.
Yeah, but she can always run them out later. Uh, Now, how do you like to prepare for a scene? Do you prepare for a scene by yourself in a room, or do you like doing, having someone, read the sides to you, or do you like to have a scene partner? I mean, how is it best for you to get into your character's head?
Well, before I get on set, I spend most of my time doing all the research part of it, like the dissecting the scene and the character and stuff like that on my own. And I kind of like while I'm memorizing, I try different like ways of doing the scene. So as I'm working out the actual words, I'm actually trying to work out the scene too and the character. So I do that for a while, and then by the time I have it memorized, I have a pretty good idea of how I want to play it. And then it's just a matter of when I'm on set, I talk to whoever the person I am, in the scene with me. We go through the lines a few times, and usually even like when we're doing the lines, like just going through the actual the scene, where I'm not really acting. It's not until the cameras are on where I actually act out the scene. So I'm acting out the scene when I'm memorizing, but not when I'm like on set until the cameras are on.
Now you mentioned about the theater part. Because I know that you mentioned how Georgia is right now. Has the writer strike and soon I guess soon the actors are going to strike too. Has there been apprehension? Has there been any sort of nervousness among your community about the strikes? Any comments or
Oh yeah, for
opinions?
sure. I mean, I've noticed. Like we noticed when I was going to film bar, as the writer strike went on, like you start seeing film bar getting busier and busier because there's more people not working. And I mean, I totally support like what they're doing. I mean, it's really important for the future of our industry, the writer strike and even the actor strike. But I mean, it's really sucks that people aren't working and not able to work right now. Luckily, I'm just trying to take this time to try to build my resume and my reel and try to get as much experience under my belt so that when everything ends, then I'm ready to go. And like if something big comes up, then I'm ready to try to get that part.
I mean, I guess that's real. I guess that's one good thing about doing independent features like this is like they're all non-union, so you're able to still work on your craft. Um, I do hope they'll. I found myself not wanting to say this, but I think it has to be. I think they have to this time because the last time they have screwed the pooch the last 2 or 3 times at the table. But I'm really hoping when whoever's leading the actors table or the actor, against them, against the studios, I hope they really do pay attention because it affects you guys. It affects everybody.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, this is like a huge
nice.
turning point in this next one. I mean, this is going to like really like affect like how the industry goes. I mean,
It really does.
potentially really good for us or really bad, and I'm hoping it's on the really good side
It's
for
got
sure.
to be really good because it can't get much worse. I mean, you guys don't get enough. There's no compensation for. There's no compensation for like before you get royalties. Now when actors when their movies get put on streaming, there's no residues. There's no
Right,
royalties for that, and
right.
that has to happen.
Yeah.
That really does have to happen.
Well, this
And
happens every time some new technology, like like, remember when music streaming was like a big deal, like it changed the whole industry, and they had to figure out how things would go for for the artists to get paid properly, and this is
yeah,
the same thing is happening now with the writers and the actors with streaming.
I hope they do. I hope they're paying attention to that because if you talk to a musician, they'll tell you right here, right now, they ain't getting. They're not making money.
No, they're not. Yeah,
No,
again, it's really sad that if you're in some kind of business like this and you're doing really good work that you're not making enough money just to survive off of. It makes absolutely no sense.
no. I mean, are you? I mean, is that it's what's the atmosphere like at Film Bar? I mean, is it one of hopefulness? Is it does it dominate the conversation now?
There's some talk. I haven't gone to Film Bar in a while. Actually, I've gotten to the point where I'm either busy or I feel like I've networked enough, and I know not network enough, but I have enough people from just that Film Bar that I. But the last few times that I did go, there's a little bit of talk about it. I mean, it's all conjecture, and when's the strike going to be over? But I mean, nobody really knows. It's just it is what I've heard. September to December would be like the strike would go on until the September December, which I mean, hopefully that's not the case. But
It's gonna have to bite into the TV season before it gets solved.
right,
Yeah, because yeah, especially network TV as we know it. I mean, it used to be you try to get on a network, a network show, whatever. But the networks, as we know it, they're slowly fading out. I mean, you look at ratings now, and it's like see a show with an 8 rating, it's like that's a big hit. And
right,
like back when you and I were watching it when the teenagers, an 8 rating would get you canceled after 5 shows.
right. When you only
I
had four
mean,
channels to watch TV.
yeah, you were gone. You carry an 8. Yeah, we overnight we ate it, or overnight you ate it. Right, yeah, right off the schedule.
But
Um,
I have noticed that there's a drop off on the amount of like lit postings, like on Actors Access and casting networks and backstage. There's a lot less being posted up there. And I have an agent, and I haven't gotten any auditions from my agent in probably 3, maybe 4 weeks now. And when I first started with them, I was getting at least 1 or 2 auditions a week from
yeah, I guess it's just drying up right now. What was it like getting your first agent? How long did it take you to get one?
them. I don't want. I can't. I'm always embarrassed to say because it was quick. It was really quick. 6 weeks after I got here, I got my agent. Yeah.
Did you just did they meet you did they meet you at Film Bar or did you submit to
No,
different agencies?
no. As soon as I got my headshots done, and I had a resume, and the resume was actually not really great. It was just a couple of classes that I'd taken and all of my skills, and then I had one. And I don't recommend doing this because you're not supposed to do this, but I had one background gig on there. I had done 3 background gigs, and one of them was kind of like a decent background gig from a streaming network, and so I put that on there because I had nothing else to put on there. And I started submitting to any agency in Atlanta, any SAG AFTRA franchise agency in Atlanta that would take submissions without a referral. There was probably about 17 of them, and I heard back from 4 of them, and so I had offers from all 4, but I decided, and I had a Zoom call with one, and I just liked his attitude. I had a friend in LA who's actually represented by them, and he's done really well. And then another actor friend here, Brett Robinson, who's also with them. I met him at Film Bar. He's represented by Barrett Entertainment, and he loves them. And so I was like, okay, well, I've gotten some people that I respect and their opinion, and I think I'll just go that route. So
Okay. Okay. Um w- do you think are there a lot of people out there? I'm just going to talk about this real quick. Are there a lot of people out there, Simon, in your opinion, that take advantage of this situation of people trying to get into the acting game? Have you ever run across anybody, any
Oh yeah.
scammers, any
Oh
you
yeah.
know, any,
Oh yeah, for sure. I've gotten at least I've probably dealt with at least 3 or 4 scammers because there's always stuff that's being posted on the Facebook groups, like models needed or actor needed for this or that, and you can always tell when it's a scam because they're either asking for a lot of personal information. Like the last one I dealt with, he actually used Tim Story, who is a director who did
Fantastic Four?
Shaft. Sorry.
He did Fantastic Four.
Right, that's right. Yeah, so it was a Tim Story, but I was already kind of worried about it being a scam because the email was from Tim Story at AOL.com, which I don't think Tim Story would do. And then he sent me an NDA, which also had an attachment for 2 actresses signing up saying that they were attached to the business, which I thought was a little bit too much information than what I needed to know. And then they were talking about flying me out to LA, and they were like, "Okay, we need all this information so we can get you an estimate on the ticket cost." And you don't need personal information to get
The buy ticket.
yeah. So I think the scam was they were going to have me pay for the ticket or something or whatever. So it always has something to do with getting some kind of cashier's check, which is more than what they're supposed to give you, and then you're supposed to give them some kind of cash back or something. But I've dealt with it a couple of times. Yeah.
Yeah. What are some of the as a new actor? What are some of the telltale signs that you would tell actors to watch out for because a lot of actors, a lot of people they're sort of desperate and they try to climb on they'll grasp at anything, and a lot of them end up getting burned.
Right.
So what are some of the red flags that you spotted as a new actor? And what are some of the telltale signs to make you double check? To make sure.
The most obvious one is if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Especially if it's on some Facebook group, like Miramax and Lionsgate and like big companies like that do not look for actors or crew or anything else on Facebook groups. That just doesn't happen. Or if somebody wants you to pay something up front to represent you, that's a scam. Because representation takes a percentage of whatever you make,
right?
By them getting you work. They don't take a monthly fee or an upfront fee at all.
No.
So those are 2 that are definitely anybody who's willing to send you like a cashier's check that you have to cash and then send back a portion of. That's a scam.
Chadrick mentions that he had one try to have him pay $1,400 just to sign a non-disclosure agreement.
Wow!
So you have to pay. You want me to pay you so not to talk about the project that we're doing?
Right. That's crazy.
But you know what? We're laughing at this because it seems so obvious, right? But how many people have you met that so far? And I guess I could ask this to Chadrick too. How many people have you met that actually have been burned so far?
Well, I'm sure I haven't met any directly, but I know that there's always people posting on the group saying, "Hey, I just got this. Do you think this is a scam?" Which is lucky that they do that. But I mean, people get blinded by the chance of like some big thing that could potentially happen. Especially when you get desperate and you haven't like gotten like any kind of notice or enough like experience in the business. You start grasping at straws, like you said. And so if something big potentially could come up, I mean, you want to believe it's true. And I mean, I've been there. I've done it in my younger years. I've been scammed before because I wanted something to be true, and obviously it wasn't.
What kind of roles do you want to? What kind of roles do you want to take on? Once do you feel like do you feel like you're ready to take the next step, or are you still going to class right now? Are you still taking classes?
I'm still taking classes. I have a feeling that I'm going to be taking classes for a long time. It's not because I don't think that I'm a decent actor. I think that I can always learn more. I can always try to be better. And I think that, is the reason why I'll always do classes. The last 2 classes, unfortunately, I had to skip like half of them because of acting work, which is a good thing, but it's also like a waste of money to go to only half of the classes that you paid for. So I've been kind of more selective about what classes I take and what time I take them. as far as roles go, I would like to play anything that I haven't played already. To be honest with you, I mean that's what I love about this whole acting thing is that you get to be different characters every single time, and you get to work with a new group of people, and you get to try something new all the time, and the environment changes, and the sets change, and things like that. And it's just I feel like a little kid. I feel like a little kid in a candy store.
I bet. I bet. Now, have you expanded your reach outside of Georgia? Like Ohio is like, I don't know. I'm not sure if you've ever watched this show at all. What I do here, I'm not sure if you watched anything other than the episode I sent you. But Ohio, I've interviewed a lot of folks from Ohio. Man, that state is blowing the hell up. I mean, it's
I've actually,
really blowing up.
I've
Have you
actually
heard?
watched. I've actually watched about 4 or 5 of your episodes. I picked, I chose some of the ones that I wanted to see, and so I watched the one with the girl who's the stunt woman now, who was in Roadhouse.
Oh, yes, Denise.
Yes, yeah, I like that episode. It was really good. So I've done work in Philadelphia, and I have a short film coming up called O and Zero that's going to be shot in North Carolina, and so and I just got a call back actually for a SAG project. This would be my first SAG project, which would be awesome, and that one's in Washington State. So luckily, I'm in a position where I can actually travel for work because I don't really have a job to hold me down.
Right.
And I have all my friends are actors and they all have jobs, and I have a lot of respect to try to have a full-time job and to try to do this because this takes up all my days. And so to have to do that, to try to do that, I have a lot of respect for people trying to do that. But yeah, I've actually at one point, I think about a month ago or less, I started applying to I started sending submissions to agents in Chicago to find maybe representation in a different area. So, I mean, I'm always trying to get myself out there more.
Our friend Echo wants to know what part of Washington State would you be going to?
I honestly don't know. I couldn't. I don't remember what city it was. To be honest, I'd have to look it up.
Yeah, Echo lives in Washington State.
Hi, Echo.
Uh, yeah, that would be very cool. I saw the poster for O and O.
Yeah.
So what's this? What can you tell us about that?
I don't know how much.
I haven't seen it I didn't see it in your movie database, but I did see it out there in the group. So that's why I'm asking.
So it was. So it's being funded by the state of North Carolina. I think they got a grant for it.
Okay.
So that's good. And the writer is also the lead actor in it. And his name is Jack. I think Jack Lafferty is his name, and he's actually a really good writer. We just did the table read for it. Was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. And I actually it was bringing tears to my eyes. Actually, it was really good. I don't know how much I can talk about the actual story because it's not an NDA.
Yeah, that's all right. It's not like I said, I didn't see it on your database page, so but I did see it posted out, so I didn't know. But
I think I have 3 or 4 movies that are will eventually be up on the Internet Movie Database that haven't been up there yet. But there's a couple. There's a feature and at least 2 or 3 other short films that haven't been put up there yet. But they should be sometime in the future.
From what I understand, and I mean Chadrick can probably tell me differently, but I understand that Malcolm is going to be getting a release on Tubi. And are you ready for that? I mean, that's nationwide right there.
Well, I guess I better be if I'm in it. So I don't know. Yeah, it would be awesome to be able to have something like that. There's been some projects like I did just because I would get some more exposure. I was supposed to be a guitarist in a music video that was supposed to be on Apple Music. They ended up going a different way, and not by a different way, like not me, but like a whole different way. And so that fell through. But the only reason I was doing that was because of the exposure. So this would be awesome to have that kind of exposure if it's on Tubi.
Now, do you play instruments? Do you play guitar?
I do play guitar. Yeah, actually, I like to build stuff, so I built the good electric guitar that I play. And so, yeah, I tend to, if I get bored, if I don't keep myself busy, I tend to get myself in trouble. So I have a lot of hobbies. I build stuff, and so yeah, I play guitar. I played violin when I was a kid. I played drums in the past. One of my projects is I still haven't. I need a workshop actually, but I was in the process of building a cello so I can learn a song to play on the cello.
Okay. I like that. If I don't keep busy, I find myself in trouble. Yeah, that can happen. That's
Yeah.
for sure. See, Echo's mentioning odds are Seattle or Tacoma.
Oh, it might be
No,
Tacoma. Tacoma sounds
huh?
familiar. It might be
Yeah.
Tacoma. That sounds familiar.
Nowhere else in the state gets love. What about Spokane though, Echo?
Ooh, Spokane. That's right.
I thought Spokane got love. Oh boy. Um, that'll be that's well. I like the idea that the state is actually funding one of your projects. That must be pretty important.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it's I think the plan is once it's done to do the film festival circuit for like the following year. So that'll also be something that'll be cool. I have a very small role in it, but the project is a wonderful project and the script's absolutely great. And so I have no doubt that it'll do well.
you know what they say though. There's no such thing as small roles. There really isn't. I mean, people would die to have a crack at the role you're
Yeah,
getting.
that's true.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah. So I mean, it's just it's awesome though that you're getting them.
thank you.
Uh, what roles would you if you had a chance to do a dream role? Like, what would you rather? Where do you see yourself doing more? You want to see yourself doing a heavy dramatic role, or would you like to play an action role, or
I would love to do an action role, and like I said, like a Marvel movie as an action hero, that would be my ultimate. Like that would be my ultimate dream. I would absolutely love to do something like that. Yeah, I would love to do action. To be honest with you, I don't know how if anybody else would see me as an action person, but I think it would be fun. The dramatic roles are also really fun for me, but for some reason, I tend to gravitate more towards comedy. I think it's just my personality, but I don't know. I haven't done anything comedy wise yet, and I don't know if I'll get a chance to. But yeah, I would love to do comedy and action.
maybe do an improv class? Maybe.
That was something that I was going to do the first time when I first got here, but all the improv class I wanted to take had already been full, so I kind of put it on the back burner, and I still haven't done that yet. So, but yeah, it's definitely something in the future.
Uh, does anybody have any questions for our guest? See, Echo says, let's see. He's got family in Spokane and never see them. So he does not go to Spokane. I hear Spokane is a very nice town. In all seriousness, I hear it's a very nice town.
That whole state is
Uh,
beautiful.
where would you like to go? Where would you like to go if you had a chance to make a movie? Where would you like to go to make one? Would you like to stay in the United States? Is there any cities you would love to film in, or international wise? Would you like to, if you got a chance to film, would you
Well,
do it?
there's two places. So I traveled a lot with my oil and gas job. I spent a lot of time traveling around the world. But two of the places I've always wanted to go. So I would love to do a movie there. One is Japan. I would love to go to Japan and do a movie there. And the other one is New Zealand. I've always wanted
Oh,
to visit New Zealand.
yeah, New Zealand's beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. Yeah, I thought I actually try to talk to more filmmakers from there because I love it. Yeah, it's a beautiful country. Um, not the biggest film industry though, considering Weta Workshop and everything else, but they do make some excellent films down there.
Wasn't
And
the Lord of the Rings like the whole series was filmed
yeah,
down there? Wasn't it?
yeah, Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit,
Yep. Right.
and if I'm not mistaken, The Rings of Power.
Oh, really?
I believe I think they were also down in New Zealand. I don't think it's coming back out till 2025, but yeah. Uh, all right, yeah. Let's see. Chad was saying this was a great interview. Okay, last round of questions. Does anybody have any questions before we let our guests go? This has been absolutely fun, Simon. I really do appreciate you giving up your time to come out and hanging out with us.
Dude,
I've had a great time. Um, like I said, I mean, your 6 months has been just incredible. I mean, you've done so much in such a little time. Most people, like I said, I mean, they see I've seen what you've done, and man, it'd take most people a year and a half to get to do as much as you already have.
well, I
So
appreciate that.
whatever you're doing, keep doing it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that so much. It's been a fun ride. I've been living in a constant state of disbelief for the last 6 months. So I hope it continues. And but if it doesn't, I mean, I've been really really happy with what what's been done so far. So
I can't wait to see Malcolm. Malcolm. We've talked to Chadrick and Alex before, and that was so weird because, I came to you and I follow you on the movie database page, and let's talk about that real quick. I want to talk about that. So I'm in those groups too. That's how you and I met. Is it me? Is it me, Simon, or do those IMDb groups? Are they? Are they? I just find it like. I find it like people like you go visit somebody else's page, then you come back and say, okay, I went to your page and I saw this. I named down you named down one of the credits.
right.
I've gone in there in some of these groups, and Chadwick can know this because I believe how I met Chadwick too. I will go in there and I'll put down there like, looking for someone to talk to, interview, just contact me. I've got nothing. Nobody has ever contacted me, and I have references. I mean, this is now well over my 300th episode. So yeah. So and there's people in those groups that have actually interviewed with me.
Right.
They've actually been on the show. But I'll go in there and I'll sit there and I'll say, hey, who would like to talk to me? Do an interview.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that they wouldn't take the chance to do that because I mean, like you said, any exposure, like you're getting exposure this way. I think a lot of the internet database groups and stuff, the only purpose is to get more people to visit their IMDb profile.
Well, but they're only doing their peers. They're not. They should be going after people like me, not you, because you're already in the business.
Right.
The people, it's like. Why are you you're asking people who already are competing with you as a whole, in the business. A lot of those same actors you're going to their pages, trust me, a lot of them are going to be competing with you for different roles.
Right.
And it's like I just find myself like, why are they advertising to their peers when they should be advertising to the public?
So there's a thing on if you have an IMDb Pro, there's a thing called a star meter, and the more people that visit your profile on IMDb, the higher your star meter goes, which means you get ranked higher in the overall actors. So I think that has a lot to do with it. That's what they're trying to do.
I would think actually getting work would boost your star meter.
Yeah.
Like every time you sign a contract, you get another role, that boosts you up. When you announce that you got another role, that boosts you up. I mean, having your name being boosted up because 20 people went and visited your page, what does that mean?
Right.
Why do you sense that do you think this is? I mean, it seems like a paper tiger. Is what I'm saying. It's like
I agree with you. For me, so. The only thing that the star meter does, there's two things the star meter does, and one is it's an ego, it's for your ego, and the other one is, and I'm going to probably get hated for saying that, but anyway, the other one is if you're on IMDb and if you're not doing what they're doing, if your star meter jumps up, then somebody looked at you, and that's what I kind of use it to gauge. So if someone like potentially a talent agent or a producer or a director or somebody who's looking for a specific type or something saw me, and that's why my meter jumped up. And then it actually happened I would say probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. I'd gotten an email from a guy from LA, and he had said they were making a short film that was a proof of concept for a series, a limited series, and they needed an Asian actor who spoke Mandarin, which I am and I do. And so he sent me an email asking me if I wanted to audition for this role. And I was like, how did you find me? Because I never applied for this audition. And he's like, well, I found you on IMDb. I was just looking for Asian actors who spoke Mandarin and you popped up. And so I want to know if you'd like to audition. So that's the only thing that I think benefits the whole star meter thing is if it jumps up to a higher value, then somebody check me out. And it could potentially be something that's for work related for the future.
Yeah, so that's the first thing you asked me when I came to you and I said, hey, how would you like to feel like talking? And the thing is I just when you and I first started talking through the database page, I had no idea that you had worked with Chadrick or Alex. I had no idea that you were Malcolm. None. It wasn't until after I went over there and I saw that, I'm like, man, is this a Kevin Bacon moment or what? I'm like, oh, shit. It's like it's cool as hell though,
Yeah.
because because I just was looking for someone because that's my thing too. Is like I know you had I looked at your page and you had the credits there. Now a lot of times, like when I ask for people to talk to, I always say, do you have 3+ credits or more? Because I do want to have something to talk about.
Right.
And you had that, and it's like, yeah, and let's talk. Let's get it cracking because this is valuable for your career. Now you have press. Now I saw you have another podcast coming up as well, talking about the business.
Right.
That's awesome. That's awesome as well. Um, and I was a little surprised when I saw that with Chadwick and Alex, and I'm like, this is a very small business at times.
Well, the funny thing is, you probably caught it right after they updated it, because that credit popped up there probably less than I think it was like 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, and was like right before you had contacted me. That was when I got my 3rd credit, so it was all time.
Yeah, I said, let's go. Let's just talk to Simon. He looks like a very interesting character. I love the samurai outfit. I'm going like, I'm digging this. Let's go talk to him. He's just starting out. I mean, I love that. I mean, that's to me. It's very exciting to talk to someone such as yourself taking a journey, and even more exciting that you're doing it at 52. I mean, how empowering is that?
Well, it was scary. I was like, it was scary at first, just because I was just like, I'd already made up my mind that I was retiring in oil and gas, and that was the rest of my life. But it was one of those things that, like I because I'm at 52, I feel like I'm running out of time. I feel like, time's running out, which it is for everybody. But when the older you get, the more you feel that way. And so one of the things I wanted to do was not have this regret, because it's always been a regret not trying to do this. And so, so I mean, I didn't know if I was going to be successful at it, or if it would be anything I could do or anything. But I was like, if I don't try, I'm always going to regret not trying. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do it and see what happens.
Yeah, and you're doing very, very well.
Thank you.
Thanks for answering the IMDb question. And no, I don't think you're going to get in trouble for it. I think you're being honest, and that's really what I appreciate. So yeah, if anybody has a problem with that, then that's on them. You're just being honest. And I asked you the question, and you answered it. All right, boys and girls, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. I do thank you for coming out and hanging out with us tonight, to the audience, for coming out and hanging out as we talk to Simon. Simon, again, I want to thank you for coming out and hanging out with us and giving up your time. I hope you had a great time. This was a lot of fun.
It's nice to finally meet you.
Yes, and you as well. And we'll be seeing you again when Malcolm comes out. Cool. And we have all your social media listed down below. Okay. And on the message, it's also posted up on this interview. So as soon as you get done, I will send you the completed interview, and you can share that on your Facebook groups.
All right, cool. Thank you very much, Patrick.
Yeah, to let them know that this is part of the game. It takes more than just acting class and showing up on set. You need to learn how to promote yourself, because if you're not doing it, nobody else is.
Yep. You're your own product, and you have to sell it.
Yep, that's what Film Bar is about, to networking. So this is just look at it this way. This is a way of networking. Now you get your name out there a little bit further than it was before. Thank you so much for coming out. I'll stay right where you're at. Tomorrow night we have screenwriter, actress, producer Melanie Gretchen will be here with us. Melanie Gretchen, and she has an award-winning short that we'll be talking about. And she also has worked with a former guest of ours named Pat Bradley, who also was here. And we're looking forward to talking to her tomorrow night at 8:00. Simon, stay right where you're at. And to the chat, I will be back in about an hour or so on the Echo side. And I don't know what we're doing over there, but whatever it is, it'll be fun. So we'll see you on Echo Zero's channel. Thanks so much. Have a great night.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody.